Wow, what an astonishing intro there to the Hat Chat episode 52 with your hosts, me, Chris Trott.
And me, Ross Hornby. And?
Me, Alex Smith. And?
There he is.
That's it. There's no more.
That's it.
That's literally it. Welcome.
Oh, what a fingle, though. What a fingle.
Wow,
Who did that fingle?
Only a genius could do something like that, I imagine.
Only a genius.
And you would know if you're watching the video of it, because it literally says my name on it, Chris Trott.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I made that when we did the new Hat Chat, the Hat Chat 2.0, and I just did that intro because I was like, well, other people are going to make them after this, but we need one for now. So there you go.
Yeah.
So we need your fingles, ultimately, is what we're trying to say. If you want an email, not an email, if you want a fingle, my brain is mush today, by the way. If you want to send your fingles, maybe use our Hat Films theme and then make your own little spin on it and send it to our email, hatchat@films.com. I did the promo earlier, I know. I want the fingles, though. We've run out entirely. We're out.
Yeah.
It's done.
I want you to fingerless stupid.
Fingerless
silly.
Yes.
That jingle reminded me of like Supernatural. You know, like the music they have in that, especially the closing theme. So it was a very classic kind of.
It's got an eeriness to it.
You guys were well into Supernatural. I never got into it.
We were pretty
hard.
hardcore.
Is it worth getting into now? Is it still good? Do you think, or is it kind of like?
It depends on if you're like
mid 2000s.
Yeah, it's kind of like. Well, I mean, it's I love it. I think it's awesome, but like also it's just fun. Like it's not something I would go, man, you need to watch Supernatural. Like it's a fun watch. The characters are really good, and obviously it's super long running.
It came out in 2006, season 1.
It's like 14, 15 seasons.
It's going to be dated, and it's going to be a product of its time for sure.
But it was a favorite. I liked it. I like it. It's it's the same vein for me as like SG1 and stuff like that. It's like I really like the shows, but I wouldn't expect lots of people to like it. You know, it's kind of.
They're a bit.
I tried watching 24 again, and that. I don't know. It was okay, but like again, it feels like TV's evolved to a point where it's like. Yeah, like it's so much more refined now. You notice the kind of age of these programs, but it's still good. Like the story is still there, but like it's just the concept is a bit strange now.
Well, like most TV shows have like cinema grade production now, right? So like because of the advent of streaming, like Supernatural was around before streaming programs, and you know all of these shows were. I mean, if you look at The Expanse as an example of what can happen to a good sci-fi show when it gets the budget of a streaming platform behind it. It's a shame because these genres that have typically been sort of niche or like side project, like not the main event for the masses, they haven't had that love or that investment, and they are the kind of genres that really benefit from it. Like sci-fi is expensive to make, everyone knows that. So you to get that kind of production on it's just so awesome.
So mostly tinfoil.
It's all tinfoil, yeah. Sorry,
tinfoil and
if you don't want it to look like Doctor Who,
Or
you'd be surprised how well that looks. It looks good in the background. Yeah.
What Doctor? Oh, in the background stuff, sure.
That's the thing. You've got to have a good DSLR.
I've got a colander on my head. Oh, watch out!
That's an alien.
The trick to high quality,
like creativity,
high quality filmmaking nowadays just requires a good camera with a really shallow depth of field, so the background is just a massive blur, and that way you just need block colors.
Yeah.
Even Doctor Who can't get that right, so they.
Yeah, well.
Lol. Sorry for shitting.
There's so many in our audience who probably love Doctor Who.
Yeah, definitely.
I just can't. Yeah, it's just. I switch
many of my our friends at work and outside of work.
Well, Matt's a mega fan. We got who's a mega fan. Has all the merch, all the kind of anthologies about it, and all this other stuff. And that didn't get me into it either by seeing his love for it. So
do you want to get a warehouse punching bag that just has Doctor Who on it? And that can be like our in joke.
There's so many. Maybe there could be more all around the.
You want to put more
punching bag? Yeah. So the face is more around.
There's so many. There's a lot of Who's. A lot of doctors, sorry, not.
Yeah. A lot of Who's.
I think they don't want to. I don't think they want to get typecast anymore, so they only do like sign up for a couple of series or whatever.
Well, I guess also the core story mechanic of like regeneration and change is kind of like probably helps.
Even though wasn't it like early on in Doctor Who, they only had a certain amount of regenerations, and then it changed. It's
so
like, nah, it's unlimited now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lead actor's going to quit. What are we going to do? Let's just add in a storyline where we can just keep those going, keep them going. Why not? The next Doctor's going to be a dog. Brilliant. I'm excited for that version. I would watch that one, to be honest. I would like to see what that dog gets up to.
They should mix up the species. You're right. We should have an alien Doctor Who as well. All different kinds of alien versions.
I mean, he is an alien, kind of, isn't he?
He is,
guess.
I think.
Well,
he's a Time Lord.
He's not from Earth.
He's got 2 hearts, hasn't he? I remember the movie where he had 2
We know
hearts.
a lot about Doctor Who for people who don't really like Doctor Who.
It's pervasive, Ross.
It's just there. It's just all. Yeah, it's just ever present in our culture.
Plus, we did have to do that trailer on it a few years back where we had to just learn like the context and stuff. Which helped to improve that knowledge. But something we didn't want. Like, it's just learning about something that you,
I mean, most of school was learning things that you didn't really. I didn't really care about Shakespeare, but I kind of learned that. I mean, I was in a Shakespeare play, Macbeth. I played one of the witches. Yeah,
you played one of the witches.
Yeah. So what
did you do? Did you have any speaking lines?
Yeah. But I was like dreading it because I was just like, I didn't really want to. We were dressed in wedding dresses as witches as well. Like, I shit you not.
What is this?
Were they black or white?
White.
Right, okay.
And like, I don't know yet. What year was it? Year 8, I think I was. So 14, like 35, which is an interesting age to kind of put on a dress and perform in front of people. But like, it was kind of fun. It was fun at the time, but I just kept forgetting my lines. I'm so bad with lines. You guys know. Every time we do scripted stuff, I'm just like, wait, what the fuck's my line again?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all right. Like the director tried to do something interesting with the reversing roles, like Macbeth used to do and stuff. And but I'm not interested in Macbeth at all. If anything, it made me detest it more. Like,
Oh, Macbeth is a dreary fucking play. It is a dreary play. Like, it really is. No, I'm not a big fan of Macbeth either, personally. The only like theatrical production like that I've been involved in personally was year 5 primary school.
Year 5. Okay.
I was Joseph's dad in Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat. I didn't get the main role. I auditioned for the main role, didn't get it, and I was his dad. But I was like, I had to do a bit where I like was crying for like 3 minutes solid. Right, there was like a scene where like I don't know, Joseph jumps out a window. I don't know. I didn't follow the story. It sounded ridiculous. That's why I was meant to be like crying, but I was also singing because at that age I was like, I'm like one of the best singers here. I want to sing, and so there was this really bizarre moment where I'm just like, but then like yelling into my hands because I wanted people to hear that I could sing. Right. Strange. Strange, but that was it.
Well, you've actually forgotten Wine or Cheese, where we did actually do a performance.
Well, that was I mean, obviously we've created many theatrical pieces. I just like meant personally.
Early days.
2001, an Ape Odyssey as well was another obviously massive production.
Big.
I don't know what we actually was it called, an Ape Odyssey? I don't think we called it. I think but
it's not even available now, is it?
Is it not out yet? Because I know we were talking about
we unlisted it because I think so. This was an Acer brand deal we did, and. Yeah, I don't think they were a fan of it, really, were they? I guess they
didn't like.
No, they didn't like it.
Unlist that one, and we were like, okay.
Well,
fine.
they didn't like certain elements of it, namely putting an ape on the cross, as if it was depicting Jesus. Which I don't understand why they would be offended by that.
Yeah,
although it doesn't speak to their laptop brand in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just tried to show a passage of key events through history, and that was one. And we thought, well, why not? What's wrong with that? Come on. There was Ape on a Cross.
Part of a series of promotional videos that we made for the laptops, and one of them was the army one where we go down and find Craig tied up. There's like a siege one, it's essentially based on Siege, and they really liked that, and we were like.
And Good Cop, Bad Cop, that was a good one. Oh, Good Cop, Good Cop.
That was a really good one.
I love that one. That's fun, yeah.
And we were like, they were loving this, so we're like, screw it. What's an even crazier idea? And we're like, what if we just parodied 2001: A Space Odyssey
in our ape outfits?
In ape outfits.
But instead of like
that was a bridge too far.
Apparently so.
The idea was that the laptop was the monolith, right? It was this amazing device.
The beginning and the end, essentially. Yeah.
It did destroy civilization, that laptop, I will say. As much as it really advanced the ape species, they did ultimately destroy everything at the end, which I guess they weren't happy with either.
Maybe.
But it was a genius masterpiece, I'd say. That's our magnum opus. Maybe.
Yeah.
So
have you played any characters in plays or anything?
I played a very young Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol. I believe I was one of the ghosts. I was wrapped up in toilet roll or bandages, like bandages-esque.
We were a ghost for a dead body.
It was.
Chris Trott played a dead body.
I just corpsed.
So I just he's corpsing. He's supposed to.
That's his job. He's doing it so good, so good. Can't even see him breathe. But yeah, I remember coming out in like plastic chains and things like that. That was a very early. I was like very young, like 6.
Yeah,
maybe 5.
Oh man.
And weren't you also in that? What was the thing where you're like a little kid running through the streets of Montacute?
Oh yeah, that was
Sense and Sensibility.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Film, right?
So Trott's in Sense and Sensibility.
Me and my brother are in that film. Yeah.
Nice.
In for like a second because they used Montacute for like one scene, and
no
it was like
roles, then.
done. No speaking roles. I tried to shout. No, I didn't get on the mic.
He's just yelling his name as he runs through the scene.
Chris Trott, call me!
Get that guy off set.
I got paid £50 for that role. That was
really.
That kind of goes to show like the budget for a 2-second shot. They paid every extra, and me being really young probably paid less than other extras. £50 and a full spread at lunch and everything, and I had a costume. It was amazing.
That's pretty good. Considering the bit part.
No, I didn't get to keep the costume. I don't think that ever happens.
What do they do with them afterwards, though? What do they do with
them afterwards?
Rentals,
probably.
They store them all. They store them all in a massive warehouse and rent them out to like remember when we rented that stuff for the wine and cheese? That there's really garish outfits that like kind of what are those puffy like Shakespearean?
Yeah. They were like what are they called? Is there a name? Stuff.
Yeah, like they have all that stuff like in a stock place, and they just rent them out as sets of like eras.
I imagine they hired them from theaters and things like that as well.
Yeah,
production companies specialize in that sort of thing, which makes sense. But yeah, they had a nice. I look like Ebenezer Scrooge, not Ebenezer Scrooge. Who's that?
Scrooge McDuck.
No, it's like the kids on the streets of London.
Oliver.
Oliver. Yeah, I look like one of them.
A little urchin.
Little
street urchin.
An orphan.
Street urchin. Yeah.
An urchin or orphan? Which ones are they the same?
I think I had a top hat though.
Well, an orphan's a person without parents. A street urchin is kind of, I guess, slang for a kid that largely hangs out on the street.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I imagine they were in Oliver. They were indeed also orphans. Yes, because of the house that the border house that they lived in, and the famous gruel scene, and obviously that's what the subreddit's all about now.
The Artful Dodger. That's it. The Artful Dodger. That's what I look like.
The Artful Dodger.
Artful Dodger.
That just makes me think of garage music now. Whenever I hear the Artful Dodger.
Because literally, Jesus. And he said he's done one. It's because of Craig David.
Yeah, is that one Craig David track?
David and Artful Dodger. Yeah. But I think I've been in Oliver as well, like a long time ago, and Grease. I was Danny Zuko in Grease.
Oh, nice.
Danny
when was
Zuko.
that? Like
Sandy. That was in. That was.
That's got to be a lot of speaking parts. You did the whole production of Grease.
Yeah, he's like he was John Travolta.
It wasn't as long. It wasn't as long. It was like a shortened version.
I can see that.
Several scenes.
I could see you doing that now, Ross. Let's recreate Grease.
Oh,
are you going to be Sandy, Trott?
I'll be Sandy.
Sandy. It's so weird because I literally caught I caught a little bit of Grease on. It was on TV the other day, and so the main character, Danny, she was like trying it on with Sandy in a car, and then she was like, no, and then she ran off, and then he was like, why doesn't she love me? And it's just so weird that he was just like acting like super like aggressive towards her and just like really like
product of a different time.
And then he's just like, why me? Why is she not into me? Weird. Like he's just trying to make a pass, and she's desperately trying to like clamber out of the car. It's like it's all there.
It wouldn't pass. It wouldn't pass nowadays.
It's just like. Are the audience supposed to sympathize with him? Are they supposed to be like, oh yeah, no man, she should be making out with you? Of course, like that was the right way to do things. But
when did that come
my character
out?
didn't.
I mean, this is it. This is why we still have these cultural confusions and these like things, and in a way, I think that's kind of why, in part, and it's a dangerous thing to say nowadays, but we should give people leeway. We should give people leeway. We're very, very, very. I feel like, especially online, like our online culture, we're very like quick to just destroy things and to I mean, cancel culture is essentially what I'm talking about here. But there is elements of that. But I think a lot of people watching that show will hopefully think, obviously, yeah, this is based on a cultural mindset of a different time. Not saying that it's the right way to be, it simply was the way that they were, right?
78.
If someone literally dedicated their entire life, they only ever watched Grease every single day, and that's how they learned life, and they thought that was the way to treat people, then you might be able to, the judge might be able to go, okay, look, there's clearly something wrong. They watch Grease more than a healthy amount, and they think this is real life, and are attributing it to real life, and therefore are being very weird and forward with women on the streets and dancing and saying shamalamala ding dong all the time.
Where's all the music?
I think that's when you can be like, yeah, this is actually, this guy's got something wrong with them. Sure.
Yeah. This guy is just.
I'd like to think people have learned since then.
Taken the film Grease, and it's not a personality.
So in that scenario where it could be deemed, I understand this situation from a judge's perspective. Smith.
Judge's perspective? Wait,
would you like to change your stance on leeway?
From what? Well, I mean, in that situation, yes. I mean, if we're talking about a person applying the same ideas and methods in a modern setting, then of course, what I'm saying is like, yeah, we look back on it and it is crazy. It is crazy.
There was a point in time where that was considered socially acceptable.
But we also need to use that acknowledgement and that idea to bear in mind that everything is a transition. Everything is in transition, right? Opinions, mindsets, the ways that, because you could argue that back then the some of the women that might have been in Sandy's position weren't aware that of they weren't empowered enough. They weren't empowered enough to be able to resist that, or even to learn new ideas that would enable them to resist or see the world differently, because
like that punching in the throat is a good one.
What?
It's a new way of dealing with that situation. A new way to deal with
that.
What I'm saying is like the entire mind. Yeah, the entire mindset is different. Like we are going to have mindsets right now that in 20 years' time we're going to go, wow, I can't believe I thought like that.
Yeah.
But that's just how mindsets work. It's so hard. That perspective is so hard to get. Especially when people aren't empowered through political and social means. To make those decisions and to examine their position in that environment is what I was meaning.
Yeah.
But you mean I think your point is condemning like completely, like concrete. They are unredeemable and they should be
of course
removed.
Not.
It's what you mean is that's what people often turn to nowadays, is a black and white situation of like they're either pure good or pure evil, and there is no leeway.
And frankly, I think people are like, personally as well, I feel like I'm not informed enough to make a rational or worthwhile comment on cancel culture, but as an observer and as a member of the online world, I do think that cancel culture is a problem, and I do think also that we are moving towards a position where our opinions on things are instantly polarized. They are not a gradient anymore. It's either for or against, evil or good, and that simply doesn't exist, I think, and that is really,
I think,
a worrying stance to take.
Because obviously there are consequences
context
to people's actions sometimes, and I think that's only starting to become more apparent as more and more people have access to more information, which is the internet. So the more people are learning about certain situations, they're like, that's not okay, and you shouldn't be doing that, and we shouldn't be rewarding you for doing that, or if you've done something horrific. Maybe that's where it's more of a kind of a reaction to their actions in a negative way. But where it's like just like someone's said something off color, and it's like, well, that's not okay. Again, it's all contextual, so it's like until you have the actual case-by-case basis, it's hard to make a specific judgment. But I know what you mean in terms of maybe everyone should look at all the angles before they start going, let's do the worst thing possible and cut everything off completely.
With things like social media and whatnot, context is often stripped out, and you often get just a bite-sized snippet as to what happened, usually from another perspective or opinion altogether that's taken their own perspective on it and made a statement. And you're just absorbing just fragments and snapshots of information and casting a judgment on that person. You might also amplify that statement based on no other research at all. Like you see a tweet that's quite strong, and you trust the person that retweeted it, and then you add on your own without like looking at the original article or whatever to see like, well, is what they retweet actually credible in any way, or am I just retweeting because I trust the person and I've just amplified something that's complete misinformation or blown way out of context?
there's very little distinction between opinion and fact as well, because you could retweet something that's an opinion that you agree with. You're like, this is my opinion on something. However, you might retweet something and somebody's just going, well, no, that's not the way it is. And you're like, well, you know, like as in, yeah, fact. It's hard to tell if a person is endorsing something because they believe it is fact, or rather that it is something that they aligns with their opinion on something, you know, but they are still,
I think people hold the same thing.
Open to change.
I feel like fact and opinion is held at a similar value nowadays. Whereas if it's on your timeline, you're an advocate of that thing. You have chosen for that thing to agree and align with your values. Therefore, you are in this category. This is you now. You are labeled as such. Even if you try and undo it, the internet remembers. It says like, well, I'm wrong. I'm deleting that. It's like, yeah, it doesn't change what you did, kind of thing, and you are forever marked and branded.
And the way to step that back, and I think this could go for a lot of elements of our world right now, is to de-escalate. Like de-escalate your responses to things. Like
we need more nukes, though.
It's like, yeah, exactly. But like, you know, it's just, I just feel like people really like bandwagoning on witch burnings. You know, like I feel like that does happen a lot. And I'm not saying that people don't deserve justice or they don't deserve, you know, to be told that, like, if they want to participate in a society with us, that they have to, you know, adhere to certain ideas and behaviors, right? I'm not against that. I am against tribal witch burning, essentially, is what's happening.
But it worked so well back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any witches anymore? Oh, there are actually, but that's besides the point.
It's really complicated. I mean, like I say, I don't want to stand on either side, but I think it is really important as a general rule to de-escalate, to examine, to converse,
step back,
and to
look,
try and
look
get
at everything at once before like making a comment on it, because
if you can,
looks stupid when you're just like jumping on sides. I know,
yeah, definitely.
I think people also need to respect mistakes. Obviously, if they're not breaking the law and hurting people, that is a different story altogether. However, making slip-ups based on, you know, the information that they've absorbed, or even just making like gut instinct reactions to things, if they then show a level of respect after being informed and educated about a thing, and they see noticeable change, I think that should be respected a lot more, rather than let's dredge up your past and remind you of what you did before.
That's it. There's so many cases of people like they've said something off color or something years and years and years ago, and like obviously their personality and whatever's evolved and changed over time. But that will, like you say, get dredged up, and then bam, they'll get cancelled based on that action or wording alone. Obviously, like you said, if it's literally somebody physically hurting someone else, that's a consequence of their actions, you know. But if it's just a case of wording, or maybe they didn't use the right pronouns or something, like we're in a time where people are learning all this stuff now, so like there has to be like say some leeway to that stuff. But
I mean, I trip up all the time with that.
Complicated.
I try my best to the point where almost everything is gender neutral now, so I don't know if I'm doing it too much, whereas people like to be called by their specific pronouns, whereas I'm being a lot more like neutral. I don't know if that is going too far the other way, if you see what I mean, too careful, but I guess that's safer.
Well, it's a complicated
there's some understanding on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is, it's coming from a place of empathy, it's coming from a place of respect, and it's coming from a place of you not wanting to make that person feel bad, essentially. But obviously it's come from a segment of society. It hasn't come from everyone, as in, like, obviously, people choosing their pronoun and things like that is hugely important, but it is coming from a segment of, underrepresented, very important, equal people to non cisgendered people. And it's complicated because you want, like you say, you're trying to behave in a way that is inclusive and is empathetic, but a lot of the time you're probably interacting with people that don't require that level of consideration, right? Like, so I guess you're being the change you want to see, but going to the average Tesco and or like going to I still feel a lot of the time me using gender neutral pronouns, which again I'm the same as you, Trott. I just try and do it all the time. That person, they, that kind of thing. It does feel a little bit like, wow, I'm really focused on this for the amount of times this interaction has actually been beneficial. It does make you.
I think it's always beneficial though.
But like you say, that's kind of a good thing to get into your mindset, because the more you do it, someone else is more likely to do that as well.
I think you're far less likely to run into offending anybody by saying they them before he, him, or she. She? What's he, him? She, her.
They. What?
Yeah.
So I didn't know the other. Her.
She.
Oh my god.
He, she.
I just forgot the word her. See, this is the problem I run into. Is
you forgot the word
I also forget normal words which I should know on a fundamental English language basis.
Yeah.
But
I think the real rude thing would be if somebody requested you specifically address them a certain way, then you went out of your way to go the opposite direction. And go, I'm not taking it seriously, which I imagine is probably an approach that some people do get quite a bit, which is, obviously offensive, disrespectful, and not cool. So, like, I think ultimately, if someone states that that's how they want to be addressed, that's kind of, be respectful.
Why not?
I guess it's all we're asking.
Exactly.
Literally, what it comes down to.
The more you get into the habit, the better, right?
Yeah. Somebody said in chat, caring is usually what makes the world a difference. I think that's very, very true. I think that like 90%. I mean, obviously, money comes into it. Money is this other horrible influence on our world. But I think genuinely, if you care and reach out and are empathetic, it just is just so effective in solving problems, bringing people together, working together. Anyway,
it's a deeply complicated subject.
Yeah, it is.
However, it can all be summarized as just being nice, ultimately, and being respectful. It doesn't take much extra effort to put a bit of effort in, just because you're concrete and like, I just want to look at someone and cast my gendered pronouns on you based on what I know, my assumptions. If you're unwilling to change with that, sorry, you're going to get left behind, and no one's going to like you, unfortunately, because our world is transitioning constantly. Like Smith says, everything is transitioning. Our fundamentals are things in 1978 that happened in Greece no longer are deemed appropriate, and that's the same with language. Everything is in a state of flux. That's a good way of saying it. Absolutely. So I think move along with it.
Talk about, like we're talking about it now. The more people that like talk about these things, the more they'll become the norm. And
and honestly, if
there's
be
less resistant, hopefully, to like those kind of changes.
If you feel that resistance just because we're talking about it, maybe have a little introspection as to why you feel that way. Like, why do you feel so unmoving in these values, and why do you hold them so dear to you? Does it matter that much in the grand scheme of things? Why do you feel it matters? Can you just let it go, and maybe you can improve and progress?
Yeah, absolutely.
Society.
And right now, whilst it's a strange thing, it's not, as in it's a strange thing to have to deal with the idea of multiple genders. It's one of those almost those constants that man and woman, it's biblical in some respects, as in Adam and Eve and all that stuff. It's strange, I know, to people to challenge that sometimes, but at the same time, there's an exciting element of it in the it opens the door to exactly a lot more understanding about being a human being. Like it's not something that people take long enough to think about and what is being a human being, what is interacting with each other, what is living in a group or a society or a family. Like to me, that's really interesting, because it's like, let's challenge some gender norms, let's see what can come out of it, let's change things up a bit.
It's actually been really surprising in lockdown. Obviously everyone's had a lot of time with themselves over the last over a year, and it's a surprising amount of people that are starting to discover things about themselves because the dialogue is happening. They're feeling more comfortable about expressing themselves, and there's a lot of like dysphoria out there about people not fully understanding, and also that fear of like, well, I've always been known as this, and I'm worried about other people judging me or literally hurting me based on these feelings or these suppressions that I have. So it's really interesting to see just how prevalent it actually is. That it's been dampened by societal norms, which should change. So
yeah,
interesting.
I think anyone who's resistant to it as well, like, can probably, I don't know, it's interesting, like you say. Yeah, more and more people have had time to sit down and kind of think about, I guess, more introspectively about themselves as well.
Yeah, it is a time
all this
thing,
is
totally.
Learning. Yeah. We're learning more about kind of our mental well-being. I guess. And I think so. So much more important than anyone really respected before, I feel. Because some people don't even like respect things, like they don't even think that, you know, depression is a real thing and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, the more we talk about these things, the more people learn, I think.
Even us growing up, right? There was
it's interesting.
Boy, girl, and there was no real dialogue or education in primary or secondary or college, even of discussion of actually there's more scientific evidence to back the fact that it's not just those binary terms. I mean,
what were your sex education lessons like?
Awful.
Because ours was awful. Ours were terrible. Bad. And like they were so limited to, they could barely talk about just, you know, sperm and stuff like that without kind of tripping up on their words and struggling to literally get the message out and explain safe sex correctly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like they would barely even cover that properly, let alone more complex subjects. So yeah, it's.
I don't remember it being covered in secondary school much at all. Any apart from the sex bus that came around. That was literally it. Bus. I don't think there was any.
Sure that's an educational thing, or?
Yeah. So this guy, he had like long hair and a big beard, and a bit of a rusty bus, but he gets around a lot. And he invited me on for a one-on-one.
Private session. So the sex bus was a double-decker bus ran by, I think, combination of NHS and local charities, and it would come to our secondary school. And I think probably all years probably went on it every. I don't know, maybe we only did 1 year. But anyway, it was a double-decker bus, and I remember this as well. We'd go on, and there were, I think it was mainly women on there, teaching us like, you know, how to apply a condom and like the different kinds of ones. I remember them going, "Do you want to see what a strawberry one tastes like?" And I'm like, "Oh,
strawberry, sure."
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I personally didn't find my sex education that bad. In primary school, we had one which was a lot more awkward because it's a Church of England primary school, and frankly, you're talking to like 10-year-old kids about quite complex sexual matters.
Yeah.
So they were much
was that
more
like year 5 for you, year 6?
Yeah, something like that. There was a video where there was like cats on the roof. Do you remember that? It was an animated video, and it was like, this is how two people have sex, and it was like an animated thing of them getting together and like having like a really like top line, you know, they went into the bedroom and pulled the sheets over kind of thing. That was like all you saw, and then it panned up to these cats on the roof. Anyway,
also doing
the other thing they then showed us. I don't know whether they showed us this, I think, in primary school. It was which was such a juxtaposition from the animated video. It was a heat camera of two people having sex. So yeah, so you can imagine how that looked, right? So it's a heat.
You don't see that on a normal basis.
Side-on
thermal camera, side-on, yeah. And they showed us that, and I was just like, what? I don't know whether I can't remember whether that was primary school or secondary school, but I remember at the time I was just like, wow, that was a departure from the much more softy approach of just here's a thermal camera.
Also, it's also quite conceptual in its imagery. Like it's still not very clear necessarily.
It doesn't
it's
make
still
it
kind of mud.
Yeah,
they couldn't just. Yeah, but I guess obviously there's laws on showing. I don't know. There are educational materials out there, surely, that allow you to see what's going on.
The education all seemed very prudish, and it seemed like we shouldn't really talk about this, but here we go.
I think I think it's probably more of a God, these kids are just gonna fuck around and giggle the entire time and make this hell, essentially. Which I can probably
remember that feeling.
Hard to deal with and hard to explain real life things to a bunch of kids. But
there was a noticeable.
It's a necessary thing.
There was a noticeable shift in the kids that had seen the VHS versus the kids that haven't, and it's like they were lording over this newfound information and mocking those that had no idea what they just watched. It's like, you don't know how it works, do you? We do. And there was this like hierarchy,
like secret info.
Like, so it was nuts.
What's even crazier about this, right? And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who went to a Catholic school, and they were talking about, and Sad Pairs just put this in chat, my sex ed class was abstinence only and completely unhelpful. And they had a super similar experience. And this is a person that's younger than us. They're in their 20s. And so this is more recent than our sex education. And at their Catholic school, they literally just said abstinence, and that's pretty much it.
Jeez, really?
Like women can be with a man but can't lay with a man, and stuff, and all this sort of stuff. And this is like, you know, 2010 or whatever, when they were like, so that, and that's still perfectly legal. So your sex education as a child is based on the school you go to, essentially, and how
religious it is.
It's so damaging though, to like like you need to learn about these things so you can make the right actions in future, or at least be safe as well.
Absolutely.
That's the core of it all. Like, I mean, otherwise you end up with teen pregnancies and stuff. It's just like, what the hell?
Well, especially considering sex drive is like one of the core fundamentals of a human being, right? Yeah. It's like teaching a kid how to use their hands and how to walk, you know, like you spend an awful lot of time doing that. Why wouldn't you spend an awful lot of time doing the main thing that a lot of human beings think about, like, a lot of the time?
Not to mention
how absurd.
I wonder if they're trying to suppress that. It's clearly that in some way they're suppressing that, or they're trying to be like, well, if we don't mention it, they won't do it so early. It's
and
like,
it totally works, right?
That's worse. It's more damaging. It's more damaging that you don't know about these things. You don't know about the safe ways to do these things. So yeah, it's
confused hormonal teenagers being told to don't do it. Everyone don't. But they should have an addendum.
No, I really want to.
If you want to go to hell, here's a strawberry condom and how to apply it. Just add that on.
Here's Alex Smith to tell you all about
strawberry dom.
Ooh, this is a good one. And I go get another one out of the packet. Banana. That one's not as good.
No,
bubblegum
artificial.
Trying to blow it.
Everlasting.
Don't use it afterwards.
It comes out perfectly.
Which is a weird balloon.
You want flavor animal?
Very chewy.
It's a dog.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got into this subject, honestly.
I don't know.
I still don't have a clue. I don't know about you guys.
With Greece.
I don't know how any of it works.
What other plays have I been in?
What other plays?
I was in a play called Crazy for You.
Career.
Crazy for You.
Right. I mean, yeah, that was all.
Is this all in secondary school or in college as well?
It's yes, year 7. I think I probably stopped in year 8.
Was this stagecoach stuff, or was
some stagecoach stuff, some school-based stuff. Yeah,
stagecoach is like an acting club for young kids in the UK.
Acting, singing, and dancing, which I really just was so hesitant to take part in.
Are you any good at it?
No, well, that's the thing. I didn't have any rhythm. I don't have rhythm. I just, I mean, you've all heard Silly Song, right? It's something I made, which, of course, if you attribute someone dancing to that, that's why I probably look like a mess. So
it'd be very abstract.
Tap shoes, yeah.
And it was just like, I was just like, can I just skip this bit? Can I just like watch? Not do this bit.
You know, that thing totally put me off doing that, because I love theatre. Right? I love theatre shows. I love theatrical productions. I like singing, and like all of these things for me sound great. And it's like, oh man, I wish I'd got into theatre younger as a kid. But then I remember a couple of my friends doing it and telling me things like that and being like, oh, I've got to get some tap shoes. And I'm just like, I don't want to do tap. Like, I want to like, I'm happy being on a stage and stuff, but I don't want to do all the weird other things. But I guess that's part of becoming a
you got to do a bit of everything.
Yeah. But it did put me off.
I don't know. It put me off because like I just wanted to do the acting really, and the singing. I told you this before, haven't I? The singing I mimed in that. And
it's got a good voice.
There were enough people that I could like mask it and just go, I'm doing a great job at this one. And she's like, oh, you sounding good. I was like, yeah. I know I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So. Kind of tried to blag that one. But I literally just wanted to do the acting part, and that was it. But it was split up into like 3 hours of 1 hour of each. And the dancing just sucked.
3 hours. What day did you do this? Like after school?
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah.
Extracurricular. Damn.
But so, and the Crazy for You one was at the Wyvern Theatre, if you're familiar with Swindon's Wyvern Theatre. That
Bustling theatre.
Yeah, that was quite good fun. That was over a summer, so it was like for like 6 weeks, and we did like matinee performances. And basically, I was just like a background, dancing kid, just like singing the shitty songs they had for it. And but it was fun to do. It was something.
So
to do.
Did they have like older people doing the main leads and stuff?
Yeah,
Is that how they do it?
Yeah, because I must have been 13, 14 at the time. So yeah,
do you think you'd wanted to do like mainstream acting in TV and film, or would you be open to stage?
I think I'd do like examinations where I would do like news reading, for example, and like you would just do a set piece. They would give you a script or whatever, and you would just read it in front of a panel of judges. It was really kind of nerve-wracking and awkward, but it was quite.
So is that to become a newsreader?
It was just basically everything, like kind of acting. We did like just vocal like just tests and stuff, and performing basically of all kinds. Yeah. So and they would judge you on all these various things, and it was quite interesting, quite fun to do, but also very nerve-wracking. And I don't know if I'd want to do that now, but I think it was good. It was good.
Do you think it changed your confidence on stage?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it did help to do that. And it was fun to perform, but I don't know. I feel like that spark died a little bit, and I don't know. I put all my energy in our little sketches and stuff. I find that quite fun. Probably how we got into this kind of thing anyway. Like when we started doing Minecraft, it's just kind of making silly voices and doing fun stuff like that.
It all plays in.
What always gets like when we're at LARP, like there's quite a few people there who are theatre kids, not surprisingly. Yeah. But like there are some people there who just have incredible voices and and you're just like, man, that would be fun to like sing and perform with these people. But then you see like the 9 out of 10 of the productions they did that year were like, I don't want to be a part of that. Because you don't get much choice. You kind of you take what you're given until you get an opportunity that you're really happy with. And I think that's another thing that kind of like, do I want to have to go down that road of like doing the Sound of Music?
Yeah. Auditions were nerve-wracking. My God, I did a few auditions for like, I don't know what they were. I think they were for like commercials and stuff, and obviously I never got them. But it was just like, super nervous. There's loads of people just in
what age were you doing this at? Because you're doing commercials.
Again, like before 15, like kind of between 12 and 14.
So if they needed like a kid to like do something in the advert, is that it? Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Should have gotten.
I've just dropped my cummy tissues all over the floor.
That's all right, darling. I've got these new Jeff Whites.
Yeah. You're not selling the cummy. You need to sell the cummy. Please,
on your CV, it just says 30-second GIF ad. Cummy child.
Cummy kid. What? What is this role? Look, honestly, you have to see this. You have to see it. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it justice here.
The one thing,
that was nerve-wracking. I think the nerves of that. Yeah, the nerves were a bit much for me.
Nerves that stopped you? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah. Like now that we do what we do, like we have so much more control over those environments. So like, there's no, panel of judges, group of people watching it, and that's, I guess, also why I probably wanted to do more behind the camera stuff, because I was interested in the whole thing. Really, I wanted to create, visual pieces, and I think that kind of tunneled me towards the filming element.
Now we get to do both.
Now we get to do both. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't do any acting at all. I had no training whatsoever. I was just born with the gift, honestly.
Yeah, you did loads. You were doing sketches and stuff like before, like we met. Obviously, you did some cool, interesting videos at college and stuff.
Yeah, the best decision I made was to leave Richard Hewitt College and then do a national diploma in moving image, where I just messed about and made films and stuff. And that was fun, because ultimately you just end up doing comedy pieces over and over again. Yeah. I think I built my confidence just being stupid on camera. And I ended up being...
I remember what A-levels you were doing before you chose to move.
Yeah, I did computer science. I did art, which I hated, because the first day was like, let's get some sand and put things on a cardboard. And I'm like, fuck you, I want to do fine art. Like, there's no space for that here. No, everyone get paint on your body and roll around. It's like, fuck me.
That you would love that, to be honest, though. Yeah. Like the amount of times that you've put stuff on your body.
Nowadays, but they tried to make me do that. I can't be boxed like that.
That wasn't your art. That wasn't your art. That was their art. Yeah.
I think all three of us suffer from that. I honestly, like the whole thing of like, and I'll do it, but I'll do it how I want to do it. I'm not going to do your way of doing it. Like,
but that's the kind of good thing about the stuff we do. It's just it's improv, which is one of the main things I enjoyed about
we've had a lot of practice
acting stuff was improv. You could just fuck around, make a dumb scenario, and it's almost like D&D essentially.
It is,
where you could just create this character persona, do something dumb with it, and the comedy element was just what made it so much more fun.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was great.
In a lot of stuff.
And yeah, being able to control the whole aspect of it is another big boon, because I just hate the whole like bullishness of the acting industry. We did it like as a thing at uni where we had to do auditions and go on Star Now and just look at the appearance of people and be like, yes, this one is more adequate.
Yeah. I remember you guys doing that. Yeah.
And I felt ultimately bad for all those people that did auditions. It's like, we're wasting everyone's time here. Why is it so formal? And like, we are judging these people and saying, yes, up, thumbs up, thumbs down.
That was strange, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I hated that. So I'm glad that we don't have to do that on a professional level.
Auditioning people.
Did that influence, Ross, did that influence your... obviously, if you're watching other people's auditions, when you were doing the auditions you were talking about,
I was on a power trip.
Do it
I was
again!
on a crazy power trip. I was like, give me another take. That wasn't quite good enough. No, yeah, it was like I had kind of nerves for them as well, because it's like, God, they don't know what like our project is. I didn't feel worthy to like. We were just doing a student film, really. So you don't feel like, oh God, should we do auditions for this, or should we just call someone and say you've got it, because like that's a student project.
We thought we'd look more professional by like being able to document that we did auditions and stuff like that.
Well, they told us to do that. They said go through the proper channels. We booked like a room in London. We invited the people who were auditioning to these little pokey rooms where they acted out these pieces, and luckily we didn't have to go through many before we found some great actors for that. We'll have to do a video sometime for that project, because we've still got it, the Handle with Care stuff. And I think I'm happy with how it came out. Like conceptually, like the actual idea of what our main character does feels ill-researched, and maybe we could have done a bit more like it seems so much more like
how edgy can we go.
What it was.
Why? I don't know what I'm trying to remember. It was the older brother made the younger brother deliver drugs, right?
Yeah, but it's only.
I think that happens all the time. The gang drugs stuff that happens all the time.
I think we should have gone harder with the drug to make that more viable, because it just didn't. It seemed so tame. But then we were just trying to be fairly on the line without overstepping the line for our project.
Like getting the 13-year-old lighting up a massive cone on the sofa.
We got a girl, 13-year-old girl to light up a big fat dupe.
And it was like, the idea was like,
do you want some? She was offering it to the other kid
who comes in and is like, oh my God.
That was a line.
She's like, yes. This is my sixth cone today.
I rolled a massive fucking cone.
It was huge.
So big as well. It was huge. It was really it was not just.
It would kill a grown person, let alone a 13-year-old girl.
It was chunky. It was unnecessarily chunky. But I guess we wanted to sell that it wasn't just a roll-up tobacco. But yeah, that was quite funny. But we'll have to do a video sometime of us reacting to it or something, because we're all in it. Smith's in it. Smith has acting.
Yeah.
As well as helping us on set.
I joined the Screen Actors Guild after that one.
We used a whole jib.
You need a credit, don't you, to join? Like I was going to say this to
literal union,
like Trott, because there's rule. I swear there's rules in the UK about certain acting unions, which I think might be the Screen Actors Guild. I'm not sure. You have to have a like role. You have to have like a credit in a professionally produced piece of material. And so Trott, you probably could have got that from the Sense and Sensibility thing.
And Kill Keith, I got both. I got an IMDb.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Kill Keith. Yeah,
of course, Kill Keith.
UK has Equity.
Forgotten gem.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Kill Keith.
We've spoken a bit about it before, about maybe we should get some acting lessons. Part of me thinks that A, that would be interesting, and B, if we could film us getting acting lessons, that in itself would be
good content. Yeah.
we could always just get like an acting teacher to come to the warehouse.
Yeah, get bespoke acting.
A day for us.
We could learn in that. We've got space. Yeah,
I'm sure that'd
be quite funny.
Freelance acting, right? That we can hire people.
Just like running a workshop, basically.
They would basically for us. Give you scenarios for like improv stuff, character work and stuff like that. So it could be quite funny if we tell them to just go balls to the walls, like comedy style with it.
I think we should do that.
So that could be good. Yeah, that could be.
We could even get a couple of like other, not amateur, but like like mid-grade actors to come in, so we could like bounce off them as well. Because like I think some of it would be.
Humes would love this as well.
He would.
You think so?
He would absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we can get him involved.
He's a thesp, a theatre at heart.
Cool.
Really cool.
And we could get our friend Andy Serkis to come in, and we could suspend him from the ceiling in a morph suit. Go on, Andy, do something weird.
You could be anything you want, Andy. Anything.
Yeah. He's just gonna be an ape again. He's great. He'll
being an ape.
Gollum, I'll be the ape, and we'll make that work somehow. I mean, I've had the training now. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
That was fun though, getting those guys to teach us how to be, or teach Ross how to be an ape. Yeah. And me and Smith just laughing our asses off on the sideline.
That scenario was basically what improv is normally. You get these very, very charismatic people who are just really energetic towards this improv.
I guess they have to
and they bring it out of you, and it's really good. And you saw if you've seen the video, we do have a video of that. What's it actually called? I can't remember. But we meet Andy Serkis in it, and
I think that might be called that.
We meet Andy Serkis. I swear we put that.
Maybe. Yeah, but that's on our main channel, and that's you can see I was having quite a lot of fun with it. Although it was quite strange, he was like right in my face and stuff, and it's just like you've got to just put just to go balls to the walls and get in your face and do it. Yeah. But that's what made it fun.
That is basically a lot of what learning to act is, isn't it? Take down those inhibitions, take down those resistances really to behavior.
I do need some of that.
Yeah. Just don't give a shit of how you look. Which, to be fair, like it's like when we do stuff out and about or whatever, like, and there's the public involved. Like you just have to go with it and just like
that's the thing. Like
we'll give you random tasks for that scratch card thing. Like where I give us commands and just do it.
Yeah. I struggle with that a lot, and it's something actually I've noticed more during lockdown actually, or during the periods between lockdown, because you're always conscious of what you're doing, and then you're always conscious of people watching what you're doing is what I am anyway, like, oh man, I don't want to appear to be like this. And so I think it could be helpful for me just to get past. I'm very self-conscious, I think, as a person, in certain respects. Obviously in other respects not at all.
That's the thing.
I think once the camera's on though, I switch.
I think that's me.
And I feel like you do too sometimes. Once it's on, and we have our audience, which to be fair is like our comfort zone, because these guys know what we do. They know what we're like. So I have comfort in that, knowing that I can be dumb, stupid. We've done 10 years of content where we're like this. Doing more, just helps me perform, I guess. So having a camera helps.
I do have a switch when it comes to cameras on, and I am willing to make an absolute mockery of myself doing that. But then it's like, if there's anything serious, or you want like a real, like, no, we need like not just being stupid anymore. We need like a real, like, emotive piece. Anything to do with real emotions that are vulnerable. I'm like, hell, fucking no. I'm not showing any. I'm not doing any of that. That's way too real. So
it's so easy to get stiff acting wise doing that when it's like, okay, now you need to be serious, but like you then suddenly forget how to be a person.
And
you're like, what?
How do I be sad?
Like, wait, how would I react to this? And you start overthinking it, and that's part of the issue. But I mean,
I think that's an interesting point, because I think that there's a subtle balance of the character and the emotion you're meant to be portraying, and also the knowledge of how you would naturally do it, so it comes across natural, right? Because like, you can tell when a person's stilted, because they just don't operate like a human being. You're like, this feels weird. And so there is that very subtle, which I find hard to get at, because I feel as though I can portray strong emotions quite easily. For me, it's more like, I'm okay if I'm in a safe space, but like the out and about stuff, definitely I'm a bit more like, oh god, I don't want them to think I'm a dick or something like that, like, which I just have to remind
myself that I'm never going to see them again. That's what I usually think. Exactly. Like, I know who's going to see this, and I know our audience is going to see this, and that's who I'm thinking of at the time. That's what I'm thinking about. Because I know that's those are the people who are going to enjoy it. Like, that random person walking past. Forget them. I try to. It's hard. It's not easy. But that's the things you need to think about at the time. But it's all good fun. And we should do some more stuff like it.
Absolutely.
Especially more sketches, definitely.
I think that's when we really come into our own, is when we're given some space, but we have like a bit of an acting improv-y thing to latch onto.
I really liked how the multimedia element of the Red Dead stuff came out as well. Like, as in the fact that like the combination was really interesting to see, like the painted like silhouette stuff in front of the camera. Like, it had a chance to come out really janky, I think, but then watching it back, I was just like, man, this came out so well. Like, I mean, obviously some of it, like the horse scenes, but
it's self-aware.
It's self-aware. Was good. I like the jank. I think it had to be janky because we were working with like limited resources. Did it really quickly. Yeah, we did it in one day, and like we didn't really try to make it amazing. We tried to just make it quickly and fun, and I think we achieved that. Yeah.
Make anything fancy in post, in editing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Well, you had to do quite a lot of comping in that one.
Yeah, I did. Anyway,
especially the fireplace scene where you literally spent. I think it went round, and I think we had several characters just sat in certain positions on green screen to comp them in.
Oh, the campfire!
Oh my god! Yeah.
Jesus. Never again.
But, I think that's an interesting idea. Making a sci-fi with all practical effects. I mean, obviously we wouldn't go for say we made like a 3-minute like combat scene or something. You know how they used to do like the old Death Star stuff, like where they had just models and then pops and bangs. That could be really
model work would be great. I'd love to film models and like make that look realistic.
Stick us on green screen and then comp us into it.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
We've gone full circle here. So going back to the point of how shows like 24 and Supernatural become dated, but nowadays everything's almost like cinema grade.
Yeah.
Even YouTube, when people are doing sketches and shorts, have like almost movie quality CG in them now if they're doing sketches and stuff. So I think we have to find our niche where we know our limits and we play into our limits by making them obvious. I think there's a space for that that's funny and still enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, Freddie Wong was doing high-grade special effects like a decade ago, right?
Exactly. So, they've nailed it now.
Yeah.
They were doing really good back then.
And then Corridor Digital, I suppose, has perfected it.
Yeah. The quick turnaround, do it on like a home PC kind of style, but still looks really good. They just got an eye for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to find our niche that doesn't compete with that. It nicely sits alongside it.
We need to
something that doesn't stress us out. I think that's Doctor Who. Because ultimately, like the more we overthink these things, the less likely we want to repeat them. Because if it's just like that was so stressful, we tried to do this and this, and you know, it only got X result or whatever. So like, it's more of a case of if we find something funny, we should just lean into it.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
If it works for us, that's how it should be. Really, yeah.
Well, this was a very self-indulgent podcast. I like that. But this is what this is for. It's for us three.
There was no topic today. Yeah.
No. But I hope you all enjoyed it today. Make sure you send in some questions or maybe another fingle to our email, hatchet@hat-films.com. And I also like to say a huge thanks to our Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/hatfilms. If you want to be a patron, you do get credit at the end of the YouTube video. I know it goes past really quickly. Apologies for that. Sometimes the outro fingle
just whizzes up.
If you make a fingle, make it so longer. That make it longer and with an intro that I can cut like the first 12 seconds out of.
Yeah, you want 2 versions. Yeah, a quick one and a longer one for the end. Yeah.
Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed that. We'll hopefully be back in 2 weeks. We'll see. Yeah. See how good it goes.
We've got a lot of work on. Yeah.
We have a lot of work on, unfortunately. We're busy guys. So, thanks for listening to episode 52. And we'll be back for episode 53. Until then, have a great couple weeks. Bye.
Ta-ra.
Bye.